Hello, everyone. Happy to see you here at the Detroit Design Month, the event Showering with Identity. I'm Dominykas Karpovic, a partner and innovation lead at the Critical Research and Design Agency, and today I'll be your host. Happy to see you here. And as you can see, I'm sitting at our office, which is a part of our culture, of our identity. And as you will see later during this conference, during this event, the backgrounds will play a part in telling our stories. So now let's move to the theme itself. In the current fast-paced world of wanting to experience something, be a part of many phenomena, we rarely become truly acquainted with something or even somebody. One moment we hear about the most efficient management technology. The next, it is irrelevant due to the change in the attitudes or technologies itself. We rarely have a chance to actually adapt to something, not mentioning to be with a particular phenomenon for a proper amount of time. The same is happening with various aspects of the identity realm. Research is done by delivering a few generic questions to a small amount of teams. Visual language is devalued to scattered logos and covers, and more. When identity is not integrated and aligned, what impact does it actually create? Today, we'll do a very simple act. We will get more intimate with identity. We will shower with it by getting closer with topics such as context thinking, city identity, circularity, researching identities, companies' identity, the relationship between community and identity, and post-war city identity. I think we'll have a very fruitful panel discussion too, where we'll discuss shortcomings when it comes to the process of identities, discovering them, revealing them. And now I have an honor to start the presentations with a story about the approach that defines our agency's identity, as it encapsulates the perspective we're looking from. And we all are quite those in a strategic realm in a lot of situations when we find ourselves in uncertainty. And what do you do then now? And what do you do then? You can panic. Yeah, that's an approach. You can jump into know what you used to do and be safe, or to choose some other direction to be and deal with that uncertainty. We, the Critical Research and Design Agency, apply context thinking. Why? Why would you think that there are not enough various methods and approaches that we could be with and we can apply? It is because it frames the relationship with challenges in the most human way. We think that we have experienced that. First, it connects the best that we tested and refined on us. Design thinking, systems thinking, phenomenology, and various other human and social and other approaches and methods we apply during various events, various practices, challenges during our different cases and works. Second, the context thinking refocuses attention. What is very important, it refocuses attention from objects to relationships. Because each object is perceived as a network of relationships, not a static form. As you can see here, this is a gift, my daughter's gift, and I see it as I perceive it as a creative act. When my grandmother sees it as a thing to be trashed instantly, and my wife sees it as something very unique and interesting to show maybe on Instagram or just to her friends. So you see a particular object, but it frames different perspectives as it is always networked with particular relationships. Third, context thinking expands the process to include sustainability and impact. We are looking, when we apply context thinking, we're looking through social, economic, cultural, and environmental perspectives to define that context and measurement procedures afterwards. And now, drums, please. We are going into context thinking. A big scheme. It seems quite a lot to comprehend, but don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Step by step. Let's move step by step and see how it works. So at the beginning, we transform challenge, a particular challenge that a client or an organization or a situation comes with in a particular phenomenon. So we're translating it into the human world, that challenge. For example, if we have a question and the client comes with the question, how to improve coffee sales in Lithuania, maybe it's worth looking at through the lens of what does it mean to drink coffee for a Lithuanian dad, a particular human perspective with a particular audience, with a particular psychographic clientele. Then we have to look at that context of that challenge. And we're looking at it from four perspectives, as I mentioned before. One is social. So what are the defining relationships there? The other is cultural. What are the defining symbols, principles that are manifesting themselves? Then we have the economic. What is the main value exchange system there? So we're talking not about money, but money is just means to have the value system. So what is the value exchange system there in that context? And environmental. What is the connection with nature? Is there? If yes, what kind of? Or maybe there is none. And then we're moving to the sense-making stage, where we're transforming gathered data and information into insights, answers, and stories. Because the information gathered has to be comprehended, it had to be translated for human world to be understood, and for designers, creatives to have an approach and perspective to work with it in the most human way. So let's say we're taking an example, quick data from one of the researchers, that the most important words in a particular research was seaport, fachwerk, cozy, breathing, and spending time in the city center. 53.2% said that's the way how they spend time in the city. At home, 42.9%, and cultural events, 41%. And there was a lot of data there. And then we have a story out of it. We have a narrative. By taming the regenerative energy of the sea, Klaipėda and its people breathe in a sustainable rhythm. You will hear about this case, about Klaipėda case later on too, because it's one of the cases that is multi-award winning and has a great recognition within the international audience. So this is an example of how we came into certain conclusions and solutions. And then we have the stage where we have a particular sense-making information, and then we need those are the roots from which ideas and solutions are growing. And then, with the Klaipėda case, we have certain solutions, certain ideas, certain paths to explore. And then we're moving to the stage of applying those solutions to that particular context, because without it, we don't know if it works or if it doesn't, if it will be recognized and comprehended and appreciated. So as for the Klaipėda's case, we tested with particular stakeholders, we talked with them, and we saw that there's a certain path, and the path was a bit different from what was the ideation stage. And as you can see here, the change is quite different, but certain aspects and certain elements remain. And then we have a particular solution that works and that is appreciated and is recognized with that particular context that you're working with. And then we need to see, so this is a particular change that we made to that context, but what that change is about. So we need to see how that impact manifests itself. And it's a very, very difficult act because, to be honest, not a lot of agencies and not a lot of even organizations or nationwide stakeholders do that, because various things of various aspects that when you deal with, when you need to understand the impact to find a formula to measure it, it's a very creative and very precise and careful act that has to be made, and a lot of time has to be spent on that. And as for example, we worked with with Lithuania's culture impact abroad, and the particular research was done how that impact is seen and manifests itself, and how it could be then reapplied and rethought and used later on. So this is, again, a practice of context thinking, which is crucial to understand. So when you're doing something, what's the impact? Why you're doing that? And the impact is not in a certain particular small point, but it's to the context that you're working with. And not to forget that you need to reflect on it, to reflect on the process, acknowledge the great things that happened there, and to see the improvable ones in that process to grow. And we have our own practice. Other agencies probably, or other people and different organizations have their own. We have some fun ones, some fun elements. It has to be, a little bit of fun after the process to celebrate a little bit. And you may ask, why bother? Why to do all that process? Just let's sit down and let's do the small creative work, and maybe the impact will be great enough. And yes, we have a lot of examples of cases that clients are happy. We made an impact, and the multiple awards won, and everybody could be happy with that. But actually, what I wanted to underline is that, most importantly, that it reminds that challenge that you are dealing with is the context. It is the context that you're working with, and you have to appreciate and you have to recognize all four perspectives. You have to be careful and respectful when you're working with cities, when you're working with various places, when you're working with various cultures. It's not a particular object that you can destroy and then reconstruct. You have to be very, very careful about it. And context thinking reminds about it. And what it does, by having that attitude, it transforms that context that you're working with for the better. As simple as that, for the better. The context thinking looks quite noisy when you look at it through this lens, as in this slide. But for those that want it a little bit simpler, the simple version, a little bit of bright colors, we have a simple version of that. So if you want, you can take a screenshot, or you can drop us an email, and we can send you a better quality PDF to carry, I don't know, with you, or put on the wall. So this is the context thinking that our agency, the Critical Research and Design Agency, is applying to various challenges that we're working with. And it works. It's efficient, it's respectful, careful, deep, critical, and actually it works through engagement. What is very, very important, when we work with something, we work, or with a particular phenomenon, we work together with the context, with people, with stakeholders, with the various different historical aspects, and so on. And this is the end of the keynote about this approach that defines our identity.